So guys, one of the major questions that we keep hearing, one of the major statements more like it, is, oh my god, this game is taking so long to come out. Why are you taking so long? And I think there's a couple of reasons for this. So in this video, we're going to go through and we're going to explore whether Star Citizen is taking so long to come out. We're going to compare it to a couple of other major games that have been released or on the horizon. And we're also going to go through and we're going to look at why, if it is being delayed, or what might be some of the reasons for that. So it's going to be a little bit of theory, a little bit of hypothesis, a little bit of maybe if statements. And I hope you enjoyed the video, so let's jump into it. Star Citizen was originally, or has been in development now for 6 years. People keep saying 7. No, it's actually 6. 2012 was when the actual project was actually first went to crowdfunded. So it's been 6 years, and let's face it, it has taken a little while to come out. The game that we have at the moment is impressive for what we have, but it has been 6 years. So, has it been a long time in development? Is it a fact or case that this game is stuck in development hell, or is it actually something that is justified, for example? So let's compare it to other games. Red Dead Redemption and also Good and Evil. Now, Good and Evil 2, I should say. Now, the problem with both of these games is they're both sequels. So we're going to have to look at the fact that these games have already had pre-accessors. Okay? So it's not going to be a valid, to a certain point. There is going to be a case of, well, these games have already got maybe assets or maybe experience and engines or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, Good and Evil is a good comparison, or Good and Evil 2, because it is very similar to to Star Citizen in some aspects. And Red Dead Redemption is also a good example because of the fact that the game is such an open world sandbox, which is also another good example of Star Citizen. So let's kick it all off and let's compare it first. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western-themed action-adventure game developed and published by Rockstar Games. As if nobody doesn't know that. But what you do know, it was released on October the 26th of October 2018 and had been in development since the 2010. So yes, the game has actually been in development for over 8 years. Now that said, in fact is quite an achievement and is still 2 years longer than Star Citizen has currently been in development. So let's go through and let's also talk about staff numbers. Red Dead Redemption 2 has had roughly 1,200 workers working on the project at any given time. At the moment, Star Citizen is sitting around 500. So there is a bit of a difference between. Now obviously, no, I'm not saying Red Dead Redemption's had 1,200 workers every single time. Calm down, keyboard warriors. But there have been people that have worked on the project at any capacity for that number. That's the total number of people working for the game. Now, at the end of the day, the fact is that Red Dead has still taken 8 years to come out with a workforce that is anywhere up to literally double what Star Citizen has. And Red Dead Redemption still is not anywhere comparable to Star Citizen. For example, you can't go through and, well, you can jump on a horse and do a shootout and everything like that. Then at the end of the day, it's not like you can fly through and down to a planet. It's not like they have these huge, great big cities all over the galaxy like what Star Citizen's going to have. There is a bit of a difference in comparing those two. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that it still gives you an idea that some games do get stuck in what they call development hell. This Red Dead Redemption had been in development for over 8 years, so that in itself is not unusual for Star Citizen. There have been several cases where this has happened. So let's go through and let's compare a game that is a lot like Star Citizen. And let's talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an upcoming adventure game developed by Ubisoft and published by Ubisoft. It's a prequel to the Beyond Good and Evil, released in 2003. Its development was characterized by the media as certainly doubt and rumors about the game's future, until it was officially announced at Ubisoft's 2017 conference. But here's the thing. The game has actually been in development since around 2007. Now, so that game hasn't been in development for, 10 years, 10, 11 years? And this is a very similar game to Star Citizen in the fact that you have space, or what we consider is a space-like simulator. You have cities. You can apparently go down to the planet. It's hard to do an accurate comparison because we still haven't seen Beyond All Good and Evil 2. But at the end of the day, they look very similar. The graphics look similar. And from what we can tell, they are very much similar games. So, the fact is that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. It is set to be released, I believe, next year. But at the end of the day, it has been in development for approximately 10 or 11 years. Now, that in itself is what people would consider development hell. But at the end of the day, it gives you an idea of here's two examples of major games that are, while both, yes, hugely popular games, they are also prequels or sequels. So at the end of the day, they've already got some sort of experience with the actual engine. They've already got some experience with assets and how to do things. They don't have to build their development tools where, for example, Star Citizen has to, and that's where I think we get a few of the problems. So what do we mean by development tools? For example, and this is something they've talked about a little bit, they've had to go through and develop development tools to basically go through and to make these sort of systems. What am I talking about? Well, for example, let's use the example that's on the screen right now, and that's good timing. Let's talk about the planet generation. If you have seen any of Star Citizens, and I'll show you a clip in a sec, you actually hear them referencing having to make these tools here. So I'll play that clip for you now.
Now, why don't you tell us what the solid system is and why it's so important to our development?
So in its most basic form, it would be a visualizer to help me understand enormous spaces, because we deal with incredibly large spaces. I'm sure everyone's seen that picture of a moon with Skyrim on the little crater. I believe that was on Reddit. So that's at the most basic form. In its most grandiose form, like selling it, it allows me to make solar systems incredibly quickly, incredibly easy. And obviously, I say easy as if it's not amazing or anything, but there's a lot of content and a lot of tech that goes behind this in making it nice and simple for me.
Yes.
It's an overview, but behind the overview, there's amazing, crazy code stuff happening.
Yeah, it's no secret, and it's been discussed a number of times that CryEngine was, and most video games engines, in fact, I can't think of a single one, haven't been made for game maps and game worlds of this scale. So
definitely not.
When we were putting together the first version of 2.0, I remember when we had putting in Crusader and then putting in Yila, and you having to sit there with the XYZ and sliding it over and then moving your viewport and then sliding it over and then moving your viewport. And so I was just sitting there watching them, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Traditional engines are just not made for such.
Gotcha.
Fast.
So Solid is the tool that we developed internally. It was Sasha, right? It was Sasha out of Frankfurt who made it?
That's right, yeah. Sasha over in DE. Yeah.
Let's give some
Good
cheers
guy.
in chat for Sasha, please. He won't see it, but maybe somebody in DE will tell him. Sasha worked with Garrett to create this amazing tool for us, which automates so much of the process of creating our game worlds here. And it's just a normal part of game development. You know, you start with no tools, and you build the tools, and then you can build the game. And that's a lot of what the early years of Star Citizen have been.
Now, in that, you've had the developers had to go through and build this system or build this tool where they can go through and easily import these systems. They said that before they had this development tool, it has been a bit of a nightmare to sort of incorporate this into the Lumberyard or /CryEngine. And a lot of these tools they've had to make have actually made their life easier when it comes to importing these sort of assets. So I think there's been a bit of that when it comes to obviously go through, and when it comes to, you know, like for example bringing these planets. Now obviously there has been a lot of scope creep and stuff like that as well. I was just recently talking to someone on Discord who was back in 2012, I think he was saying, where he was saying that he was originally sold a space game. Well, now we have a space game / FPS, and I'm actually trying to line up so that I can go through and actually have an interview with him online on Discord, and we'll basically talk about Star Citizen and what his views are, and that should be an interesting conversation. So that should be the next few days, hopefully. But look, at the end of the day, yeah, I would say that yes, there has been obviously them having to go through develop these development tools. Obviously, you know, for example, importing these planets is just one small example of this. There have been numerous times where they've showed off these development tools that they've had to build. There's others that they've had to go through and purchase and whatnot. For example, ZBrush for character creation and stuff like that. This is stuff that Red Dead Redemption and Beyond Good and Evil 2 have already had, due to the fact that they've already made the previous games. So obviously, like I say, it's hard to go through and compare the games exactly. But considering Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Red Dead Redemption have been in development for 10 or 11 years and 8 years respectively, then I would say, yeah, I get when people are a little bit frustrated by the fact that the Star Citizen has been taking so long to come out. But considering it has only been about 6 years, I would say, look, yeah, what Chris Roberts is trying to do with obviously mixing space combat with planet-side interaction with FPS combat and everything like that, I do understand that it is quite an ambitious task. And look, at the end of the day, I'm not talking smack about a lot of the people that quote, this game's taken too long to come out. I would say a lot of people are just unaware of dev development, of game development, of how long some products can actually take in development. They see an announcement at E3 2017, for example, for Red Dead Redemption. They only see the announcement of, hey, our game's coming out soon, and they don't know how long the game has actually been in development previous to that. But yeah, from what I can tell, this sort of, look, obviously 10 or 11 years for Good and Evil 2, or Beyond Good and Evil 2 is obviously a outlining, for example, an outliner. But 8 years for a decent game to be made, I would say that's actually, considering it's the first game in the franchise, I would definitely say no. I would say that's not too long. Obviously, you know, we start approaching, 15 years for a game development cycle. Then we might need to have words with Chris. But at the moment, the 6 years, I would say, yeah, look, to me, he's still got a couple more years. Then maybe we'll have to sit him down and have a bit of a chat about scope creep. Because, I don't know, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you believe that Star Citizen has taken too long to come out? Do you think that this game is an outlier when it comes to, obviously, for game development in this period? Do you think these 2 or 3 examples that I've picked are because of the fact that they're just outliers, that most games have gone through, like, for example, Call of Duty, are made in a few years? Now, obviously, when you go comparing Call of Duty to Star Citizen, obviously it's a little bit different, but yeah, let's not go talking about cookie cutter games. But like I say, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.